shown us by all the international delegates who have shown up today in these difficult times. Travel is not easy. So we deeply appreciate the fact that you could make it here. We appreciate even more your participation in these activities. You made inputs which you will all hear in the next few minutes. And well, we've also heard Eunice's report of the depth of work that has been managed in this short time. So there's a deep appreciation on behalf of Socialist Movement of Ghana to all of you. And I'd like us all to, we'd ask you all to stand up, the international delegates and the unionists, if you're still here. Please stand up so we can acknowledge you. So, we are ready now to move back into the completion of our Congress program. And by way of a report to our international comrades, this morning and into this afternoon, we were able to conclude all the reports from the 5 commissions. That was gender affairs, youth affairs, national affairs, international affairs, and then finally constitutional affairs. All the commissions reported back. They submitted formal written reports. We had a vigorous debate on each of them, and in the end, we successfully concluded and adopted all of them. Our task now is as follows. Having adopted or having been through the draft constitution of the Socialist Movement of Ghana and having agreed all of the points, we are now going to do a formal adoption motion and finalize that. So I will hand over to our General Secretary, Comrade Pratt, to lead that process.
Well, comrades, it is not my responsibility to make a speech. The closing speech will be made by the convener, Comrade Chiritrie Opoku. But I think it's important at this stage to explain what is just about to happen. What we see in this room and what is just about to unfold has taken months to accomplish, if not years to accomplish. The Constitution that we are just about to put before Congress for approval was drafted about a year ago. It has gone through hundreds of changes. It has been discussed in all the 29 collectives, has been discussed at all our training programs. And in spite of all of that effort, it hasn't been easy to push. And it hasn't been easy to push because everybody is striving for excellence. So at every stage, people want changes, people want to add, and so on. And up until this morning, we're still grappling with the Constitution. The Central Committee had a look at this as way back as Friday. And since Friday, various commissions have looked at the Constitution. We have in the preliminary session also looked at the Constitution. And now we have come to the conclusion that we cannot produce a perfect document. What we can produce is a document which works. What we can produce is a document which will continue to guide us in our battle against imperialism. A document which will set the path for the defeat of imperialism and capitalism. And we think we have that document. So on the basis of a mandate given us by Central Committee, it is indeed my very, very distinguished pleasure to invite to the podium the convener of the Accra Collective to start the formal process of seeking approval for this constitution. And I would also invite, along with the convener of the Accra Collective, Comrade Precious from Ho, who together with the convener of the Accra Collective have been given this responsibility. Bless, Tulo, and Precious. Can you please?
Viva socialism, viva! Viva, viva socialism, viva! Viva. Amandla! Yes. Thank you very much, comrades. I am humbled to officially present to Congress the Constitution of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. And I would like to say this. And so I would like to officially move for the adoption of this document as the official constitution of the Socialist Movement of Ghana.
Amandla. Amandla. I second the motion for the acceptance of the Constitution as a working document for Socialist Forum of Ghana movement. Thank you.
Comrades, if there are any objections to the adoption of this Constitution as the Constitution of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, the objections may be raised now. Any objections? If there are no objections, of course, this is the Requiem Mass of the Socialist Forum of Ghana. And this is the Socialist Movement of Ghana. This is where it begins. Now, over the same period, we have been active in looking for those who would make the sacrifices needed to take us forward. We have had extensive discussions, we've had consultations, we've had debates, and we've struggled over many months. Last Friday, at the end of the Central Committee meeting, firm decisions were made about who will start the journey of taking the socialist movement and our struggle for freedom forward from now. And it is my very, 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 very pleasant duty to call on Comrade Debbie from Kenyase Collective and Comrade Frank from the Accra Technical University to perform their duty as assigned them by the Central Committee. Comrade Debbie from Kenyase Collective and Comrade Frank from the Accra Technical University.
Amandla. 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 Good afternoon, comrades. I am highly honored to be in front of all of you to propose the following comrades to be our next, should I say next, or continue to lead us through? Okay. Okay, thanks for the correction. I know that for me, for myself, until now, I will say I started living after I met the Socialist Forum of Ghana, which is now Socialist Movement of Ghana. Yeah. Because I was just eating and sleeping somewhere, not knowing that all these things that I came to know about was going on. And then after I got to know about them, I knew something had to be done. And then I'm very much privileged that I had the opportunity to meet the Socialist Movement of Ghana. So until we all, before we all met here, there are people, comrades who, through their efforts, and then through their intelligence, and then enormous efforts, were able to bring all of us to this place. And then I think that when we give them the opportunity to move us forward, to help us through the struggle, we are going to win. So I propose that Comrade Chichi Opoku be the convener. And then Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. as our General Secretary. And then Comrade Yao Opoku as our Treasurer. And then lastly, Comrade Justice Henaku as our Secretary General for the International Relations. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. At this very juncture, my name is Frank B. Kwartin from the Accra Technical University Collective, and I strongly second this nominated or this presented comrade to be our working front to lead us to succeed in this victory. And so I strongly second that they lead this struggle with us.
Well, comrades, if there are any objections to our election, we will do as the people want. So at the appropriate time, Comrade Tritrie Opoku will speak on our behalf. I'd like to announce that the Central Committee has also made a number of appointments. Comrade Roseanne has been appointed as the national organizer of the Socialist Movement. The Central Committee, also after evaluating the work that all of us have done, took cognizance of the fact that our work is collective work. We all work together. Our strengths are collectively owned, and we share our weaknesses. But in spite of this, every now and then, outstanding personalities also show up. And the Central Committee was convinced beyond a doubt that our very young comrade, Nanayao Apia Kubi, can manage the challenges of education and information. So Nanayao Apia Kubi is now in charge of education and information. The Central Committee also decided that one of the young men amongst us, very young, articulate, dynamic young men amongst us, and interestingly, his name in his local dialect is Obuo. And Obuo translates into English as stone. So the Central Committee has appointed Obuo Bedin as the youth organizer. The Central Committee also accepted recommendations that were placed before it to appoint Loretta Nade Ashi as the women's organizer. Now, there's been a lot of positive talk about a research presentation on the presence of foreign military bases in Africa. That's one of the most remarkable jobs that we have done And that job was done by our research department. The head of our research department is politically and ideologically correct. But in addition to being politically and ideologically correct, he is also technically most competent. This is a retired civil servant who actually, before his retirement, was head of Ghana's planning department. And he has now joined us fully as head of our research team. And all of you who have read the research papers produced by his outfit will testify that this is a gentleman we have to keep and encourage to do a lot more. The Central Committee, in recognition of his sacrifices and the quality of his work, recommends, has actually appointed Comrade Kafui Sanaya as head of research. Now, our policy is to ensure gender balance in all of our structures. And given the list that I've already mentioned, it is clear that it is gender imbalanced. Yes. And to attain that gender balance, not just to attain the gender balance, but also in recognition of the outstanding contributions to our work and their growing capacity and so on, the Central Committee has decided that Comrade Karis, who works in the research department, so Comrade Karis will join the standing committee. She is an executive member of the standing committee. We also like to recognize the work that our social media team has been doing over the years. And I'm sure some of you would know what our social media team does. Indeed, anytime there has been a Twitter storm, their performance has been nothing but excellent. Now, it's important to state that these young men and women had no IT training before they joined the Socialist Forum of Ghana. It was through a program which was started by Comrade Kambali that we started training our own ICT experts. And over a period of 3 years, our IT experts can match any team anywhere in the world. They are building and managing websites. In fact, one day I was in the office and then Kambali came to me and said, "There's a surprise." And I said, what is the surprise about? I said, "Do you know that Godwin is a programmer?" I said, how can Godwin be a programmer? Godwin was employed as a designer in the newspaper office. And we didn't know that we were wasting his talents. We had a first-class programmer sitting next to us and we didn't know. And it took Kambali to discover Godwin. Now, these people have been doing fantastic work. Really fantastic work. I mean, today, we run or assist in the running of Pan-African Television, which is the biggest television platform in Ghana today. And that has partly been made possible by this social media team of young persons. And one of them is Mercy, Comrade Mercy Dida. And in recognition of her outstanding performance, the Central Committee has decided that Mercy Dida should join the Standing Committee of the Socialist Movement. Mercy Dida is not in this room with us now. Mercy Dida, Comrade Mercy Dida, is not in this room with us now because the task of finalizing the resolution of this Congress has fallen on her shoulders, the shoulders of Mercy Dida and Comrade Yao Opoku. We are expecting them in the next few minutes to walk into this room to read the final resolution, and if the final resolution they read is the resolution we all helped to prepare, then we would adopt it as our resolution to guide us into the future in all the battles that we intend to wage in the struggle against neocolonialism, imperialism, and capitalism. In the circumstances, I'm not too sure what to do while we wait. And anytime the job is too difficult and I can't think properly, all I do is to hand it over to Chichiro Poku. So Chichiro Poku, you can take the microphone.
Chobwe! Chobwe! I think what I should say now is express the gratitude of all of us in whom you've reposed this responsibility to offer leadership in the process we've all begun together towards building our movement, towards instigating, shaping, and leading struggles of our people to transform the way we all live, to reclaim our dignity as people, to achieve socialism. I'd like to say how humble we all feel. There's a very great sense of weight that all of us have felt over the last 36 hours. It's become real in a way that it perhaps wasn't before. Many, many things are going to change for everybody in this room because, of course, we are not leaders in some vacuum. We are leaders who serve you. We are leaders who work with you. We are leaders who will wake you up in the middle of the night because there's work to be done. We're leaders who will expect to be woken up in the middle of the night because there are struggles to be waged. Things have changed. It's not the way it used to be. As we've stressed many times, the level and types of discipline, organizational discipline, personal discipline, that we must aspire to and that we must enforce with each other. The level of stark, honest, but constructive criticism that we must be able to give each other and that we must be able to accept in order to shape a more effective organization has changed. Things are not going backward. So I think I can say, in accepting this responsibility, that once again, we are humbled, we are very proud, we are ready to serve, and we're counting on all of you to provide the energy and the leadership that drives us all forward. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very, very much. The next item on our agenda, as Kwesi said, is reading of the draft final resolution. It was being printed, as I was told 3 minutes ago. Can I ask that somebody check with the Secretariat and ask if there's even just one copy printed? Yalpoku can come and read it while they're printing copies for everybody else. Okay. Yeah! Ongodo, we can afford a few more minutes.
We want to raise a morai. Oh, morai. We want to raise a Socialist, we are the superpower. 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 Socialist. If you want to be a socialist, see the qualities and write your name. If you want to be a socialist, see the qualities and write your name. Our Luther, forevermore, socialism forevermore. Mama Nade, oh. go take power today, today.
Today, 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 today. Socialists go take power today, today.
Today, 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 today. Socialists go take power today, today.
Today, 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 today. Socialists go take power today, today.
And socialists ready to be and
socialists go take to me
socialists ready to be and
socialists ready to be Amandla.
A report of the Resolutions Committee. Hello. Of the Resolutions Committee. First, let me say that all the various commissions submitted their reports to us. And from the various reports of the commissions, we have crafted this as the final resolution of Congress. So I read. The first National Delegates Congress of the Socialist Movement of Ghana met in Winneba from July 30th to August 2nd, 2021. Delegates deliberated in 5 themed commissions and in plenary on the struggle in Ghana, Africa, and across the world for a rational, fair, and prosperous future for all people, and how to take this struggle forward. 1. Global situation. Congress reaffirms that imperialism, the globalized phase of capitalist exploitative commodity production, is responsible for the tragic state of society today. Capitalism continues to increase human productivity rapidly, but does so within a structure of property relations that ensures that an ever-increasing proportion of the wealth generated ends up in the hands of a tiny global capitalist class, while the rest of humanity is condemned to poverty, oppression, diseases, hunger, homelessness, and insecurity. 1-2. Congress observes that in the last 40 years, capitalism has imposed several existential crises on the world. 1-2-1. Capitalist hoarding of global wealth means that society cannot mobilize the resources required to shift from hydrocarbon-based production to clean energy, or halt the destruction of natural carbon sinks, so that humankind can reverse the global warming threatening human extinction in just a few short decades. 1-2-2. Capitalist hoarding obstructs an effective global vaccine response to COVID-19, which means that the virus will survive, mutate, and kill millions. 1-2-3. The insane rush to maximize profits by commodifying even food production means replacing natural organic food with chemically engineered commodities, driving a global nutrition crisis that leaves humankind undernourished and immunocompromised, and that threatens the livelihood of billions of persons. 124. Capitalist reflex to militarize any challenges, whether commercial or political, has unleashed a worldwide assault on democracy. It has brought the world to the brink of nuclear holocaust by reckless provocations against China, Russia, and Democratic Republic of Korea. 1.3. Congress notes that imperialism's aggression has been most unrestrained in former colonies that have sought to assert economic, political, or even cultural independence from imperialism. Since World War II, US troops have invaded 17 developing countries, namely Korea, Cuba, Vietnam, Dominican Republic, Lebanon, Grenada, Panama, Kuwait, Iraq, Somalia, Haiti, Bosnia, Kosovo, Afghanistan, Iraq, and again Libya and Syria, and sponsored countless attacks on other countries to make them, in inverted commas, safe for transnational capital, including the 1966 coup that destroyed Ghana's first republic. The US and its allies continue to resource Israel to occupy Palestine and terrorize Western Asia and undermine progressive development in other countries. The US has blockaded, isolated, sabotaged, invaded, and plotted murder to achieve regime change and strangle Cuba's socialism. It has applied similar tactics to gain control of Venezuelan and Iranian oil resources. 2, Africa. Congress notes the contrast between Africa's assets, a young and fast-growing population, precious industrial and strategic minerals, hydrocarbons, arable lands, forests, water bodies, and biodiversity, and her pain. Crumbling economic, political, social, and cultural systems which cannot withstand climatic change, pandemics, or the nutrition crisis. 4 centuries of direct imperialist attacks, interventions, and weaponization of every possible identity, race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexuality, and age to facilitate divide and rule tactics have left African states vulnerable to pressure from, in quotes, non-state actors like hijackers, kidnappers, and drug cartels, and ensure that civil and social contests in Africa, neo-colonies, easily degenerate into intractable violence. 3, West Africa. Congress knows that West Africa typifies Africa's turmoil. Its people face balkanization, foreign domination of our natural resources, infrastructure, finance, trade, and service industries. We face exploding unemployment, terrible gender discrimination. We face growing elite authoritarianism and intolerance. We face collapse and societal disintegration. Pirates and narcotics cartels threaten Atlantic oil and gas and shipping operations as brigands and kidnappers threaten the Sahel area. Increasing Chinese trade and investment penetration threatens Western hegemony. NATO's 2011 destruction of the Libyan state unleashed radical Islamic forces across Mauritania, Niger, Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso, and northern Nigeria, who have allied vigorously with tribal and criminal organizations to challenge corrupt and unpopular political establishments and establish a caliphate which has in turn given imperialism a pretext for military intervention, seized control of natural resources there by heightening tensions and endangering West African citizens. 4. Ghana. Congress notes the Ghana state's retreat from development leadership, parroting the World Bank mantra that, quote, the private sector, that is, the transnational sector, is the engine of growth, unquote, and driving disinvestment and deregulation of production. Our food, shelter, petroleum, gold, cocoa, and timber, and related infrastructure, trade facilitation, finance, and technical services remain dominated by transnational corporations. Domestic manufacturing and food production are shrinking, and import dependence is growing. Structural unemployment and public indebtedness are exploding. The state cannot repay its debts, and thereby is compelled to resort to regressive taxes and further borrow to service debts at increasing higher costs. A crash is almost inevitable. 4.2. Congress notes that education, healthcare, housing, transportation, and nutrition are increasingly inaccessible for many Ghanaians. Sale of lands for large-scale farming, estate development, and galamsey have led to rapid youth flight from farming areas to cities and swells already high unemployment rates. Public safety is declining, with increased petty and organized crime in both city and countryside. Confidence in the integrity or capacity of public sector agencies is at rock bottom. Social relations are increasingly hierarchical and backward, as traditional and religious authorities, sensing the growing power vacuum, have begun to assert political authority and to strengthen their positions by driving social division along religious, ethnic, gender, and sexual orientation lines. 4.3. Congress notes that Ghana's political party establishment offers no alternative to neoliberal neocolonialism or alternative clear development options for the poor. National political discourse focuses on which party is more corrupt and inept. National political campaigns consist mostly of unwholesome personality attacks, degrading propaganda, identity struggles, and intensifying violence, trends set to escalate and destabilize the system. 5. SMG organization. Congress affirms that the future depends on the triumph of scientific socialism and the equitable and scientific reorganization of production, distribution, and exchange to meet the needs of all society and fulfill humankind's true potential. 2, socialism will require coordinated national, continental, and global struggles to mobilize the working class and all marginalized social groups against capitalism. 3, socialist struggles will require advanced political organization in size, breadth, networks, mobilizing power, and strategic and tactical capacity. SFD provided a starting point for the struggle. Accordingly, Congress hereby adopts the Constitution recommended by its Constitutional Affairs Commission as amended in plenary, as the Constitution of SMG, and as a framework within which our militants can build the kind of organization and networks for advanced struggle. SFG can now work towards the return of power to the people. Congress further adopts the recommendations submitted to it by the Central Committee regarding the membership of the Standing Committee that will provide day-to-day leadership of the SMG until Congress reconvenes as follows. A, convener. B, General Secretary. C, International Affairs Secretary. And D, Treasurer. 6, struggle. Congress commits to gender equality in SMG work. Congress hereby tasks the Central Committee and the leadership of the Women's Wing to develop a strategic framework for pursuing gender equality within SMG and increasing the numbers of women leading organized struggles for social transformation, and develop policies and strategies on campaign issues on reproduction and role of women that will place responsibilities on society to protect the reproductive rights and the development of social support for all women. 6.2. Congress declares its commitment to defend and promote the rights of the youth and to develop their leadership of society. Congress hereby directs the Central Committee, working with the Youth League, to develop a strategic framework for promoting youth leadership in the struggle for socialism at all levels. Congress declares that pursuing unity amongst progressive social movement is an ethical and a strategic responsibility. Congress directs the Central Committee to develop strategies for working with socialist and progressive political and social organizations in Ghana struggling against imperialist efforts to divide and distract ordinary people. International solidarity. Congress reaffirms SMG internationalism and SMG participation in the Pan-Africanism Today project and SMG's membership of the International People's Assembly as vehicles for realizing this internationalism. Congress tasks the Central Committee to develop a strategic framework for the realization of SMG internationalism. Again, Congress declares that there are no fundamental contradictions among the ordinary people of West Africa. Growing conflict reflects a Western agenda to break indigenous resistance to neo-colonial exploitation and halt the growing influence of China. Imperialism is the cause, I repeat, imperialism is the cause and not the cure of West Africa instability. Congress calls on regional social leadership to demand a peaceful human security approach to the region's conflicts, including withdrawal of all foreign forces from the region and greater resourcing I take that again. Congress calls on regional social leadership to demand a peaceful human security approach to the region's conflicts, including withdrawal of all foreign forces from the region and greater resourcing of approaches based on dialogue and inclusion. Congress calls on the social forces to lead the peace process free from the control of imperialist forces, especially from France and US and their militaries. Again, 7-3. Congress declares solidarity with the people, government, and Communist Party of Cuba, whose own internationalist example remains unparalleled in world history. Cuba today faces renewed attempts by US imperialism to destabilize and overthrow the revolution using the crisis caused by US aggression and economic blockade over 60 years and the disruptions caused over the last 18 months by the pandemic. We denounce this renewed US aggression, which exposes the vicious consistency of Republican and Democratic Party agendas. We call on the government of Ghana to join in the condemnation of US aggression and to take practical steps to alleviate the suffering of the Cuban people by challenging the illegal US blockade of Cuba. Congress declares solidarity with the people of Palestine and the PLO in the face of increasingly vicious attack by Israel, which remains in illegal occupation of Palestinian lands and operates a system of apartheid there. We deplore the support that the US and other capitalist states continue to provide to Israel's crimes against humanity. We call on all African states to reaffirm Israel's pariah status and murderous activities. SMG rejects completely any notion of Israel participation in the work of the AU in any capacity, including observer status, and calls for her ejection. The word is ejection from AU. Congress declares solidarity with the people of Venezuela facing sustained US aggression, who not only seek to control Venezuela's vast energy resources, but also to stop its support to progressive causes around the world. The US has not only disrupted Venezuela's international trade and seized its assets in America, it has for decades interfered shamefully in Venezuela's internal politics and sought to impose a puppet regime on that country. Congress declares solidarity with the Sahrawi People's Democratic Republic and the Polisario Front. Western Sahara remains the only colony on the African continent. It has been forcibly colonized by Morocco, a fellow African country, which itself has experienced the humiliation of direct foreign domination, but now works as an agent of US and Israel penetration of the region. Morocco acts as a proxy for European interests. We call for greater pressure from the government of Ghana, ECOWAS, AU, UN, and all progressive organizations to compel Morocco to recognize Sahrawi right to self-determination and to respect the decisions of the international courts in this regard, and calls for withdrawal of Moroccan occupation forces from Sahrawi Democratic Republic. 7. Congress salutes the Communist Party of China on its first centenary and declares solidarity with the people of China in the face of renewed US aggression in a futile effort to roll back China's unprecedented development achievements of the last 40 years and the demonstration of the power and benefits of socialism over capitalism. Congress directs the Central Committee to study China's transformation and especially its eradication of extreme poverty to understand how much of China's strategy and organization may serve as an example. Lastly, the last but not the least, Congress declares solidarity with the people of the Indian Ocean Islands, whose land has been arrogantly seized by imperialist powers and converted to military infrastructure facilities. This ends there.
Well, comrades and friends, this is the resolution that the first Congress of the Socialist Movement of Ghana proposes to be adopted. We put together this resolution. We argued about the content, we debated the content. Some people had to work sleepless nights, but we are finally here at decision point. We want to make it clear that we are determined to take this struggle to its logical conclusion. And that logical conclusion is the defeat of capitalism and all manifestations of imperialism. As directed by Central Committee, it is my pleasure to invite to the podium Comrade Charles Mintaba. Comrade Charles Mintaba is from the Takoradi Collective. Comrade Charles Mintaba is from the Takoradi Collective, and he performs this role with Comrade Dinah Wood. Comrade Dinah Wood is the convener of the Ekropon Collective, Equiapim Collective. Comrade Dinah Wood is the convener of the Equiapim Collective.
Aman. Aman. Viva socialism, viva. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm highly honored, humbled to be given this rare opportunity to at least move a blueprint that represents the true reflection of people who came together, because wisdom does not reside in the head of one person. And after serious debates and disagreements, we put up an ammunition on paper to fight capitalism and to show to the world that we have arrived. On this note, I say that I move that the resolutions compiled by our competent team reflects the arguments and reasons we kept together to guide us in this struggle. Thank you very much.
Viva SMG, viva. Viva. Viva SMG, viva. Viva. Today, I stand here and second this motion, as it truly reflects all that we've been doing during our stay here. Thank you.
Comrades, if there is any delegate, if there are any delegates in this Congress who have objections to the final resolution, please let them express those objections. Any delegate, delegation, or delegates who have any objection to any part of this final resolution, please express your position. Do we understand that the final resolution has finally been adopted by the first Congress of the Socialist Movement of Ghana? Arose, 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 be honest and don't be silly. We are the famous socialists. We never say die. Arose, 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 be honest and don't be silly. We are the famous socialists. We never say that.
Acclamation.
Joe Wei. Okay, we have come now successfully to the end of our Congress. The program says I should make closing remarks. I will try. So let me again formally say congratulations to all of you who have participated in these meetings. And congratulations also to the collectives that mandated you to come here on their behalves and help shape this transition. Okay. You will have a story to tell when you go back. Okay. I think that anybody who has been here over the last 3 days, forget it, over the last 20 minutes, cannot help but notice how young this gathering is. This is the youth. This is the future. We've all been young before. Well, some of us have. Okay. And so we recognize just how much courage, how much perseverance and vision it has taken for all of you to walk this road with us. This is a time when so many of your friends and relatives and associates are in complete despair about their lives and about society. So many of our youth today have abandoned confidence and are turning either to fraudulent preachers, magicians, promising quick money, visas, whatever it is. Others have also turned to completely antisocial activities. Instead of shoring up society, they have joined the predator class, again trying to find individual solutions to what are clearly social problems. And the youth, much more so than people my age, are bombarded minute by minute by corporate media, offering fantasies of what life is supposed to be like outside, or what life could be if pursue the ideology of capitalism, which is this supposedly rugged individualism. If you become a winner instead of a loser, if you are disconnected from the society within which you live. So, again, we recognize that your capacity to resist these pressures has involved quite exceptional insights into the conditions in which you live, a capacity to pass this deluge of information that you're bombarded with and to discern just how false most of it is and to look for the alternative. That is quite an achievement because, as I say, we've all been your age before. We know how impressionable things can be. We know how much we all want, how desperately we want things. We want a life, and how easily that can turn to bitter despair. So, the insights that have brought you here are quite exceptional. And the capacity, the leadership capacity that it demonstrates is also quite exceptional. But it's important that we think of this insight, this capacity, as the privilege it is. It's not something that should drive you to feel superior. We should see that as the basis of a deep, lifelong obligation to society. And that's what being a member of the socialist movement is. It's a life of service. It's a life of service to humankind. To humankind. Okay? It's not a privileged status. We are not like the political parties which people join in the hope of becoming part of the national elite and being able to steal to improve our personal situations. So what we are calling you to is a lifetime of committed struggle. It's not an easy path. We don't promise ease. We promise long-term collective victory. So we ask that you take seriously, well, not all of you were at the Central Committee meeting, which decided that we should continue in leadership. By the time, Comrade Kwesi made a very clear statement about how willing we are to serve, but also about how urgent it is that we develop the leadership that will retire us in the near future. He was not just being modest and so on. This is a serious, serious matter. You have our service, there's no question about it. You have our commitment. We will be there when you call us. But we are not the future. The future is in this room. You have a country in which 50% of the population is under 15. Okay? So it's not just that Yao Poku, Kwesi Pratt, Justice and I are getting on in years. But it's also the fact that we are just no longer culturally relevant. There's so much that's going on in this society that we do not participate in. It's just a fact. But it's also the fact that just in the way that this transition from forum to movement was urgent, a generational transition in leadership is urgent. Because as they say, winter is coming. There's a difficult struggle ahead. And we're already seeing it. We're already seeing, within a matter of years, the shift in the way the elite behaves in terms of its authoritarianism. Again, Kwesi has several times made the point that at no point in our history as a country has the media faced this kind of repression. Have journalists felt this insecure? Intimidation, threats on radio and TV, people being forced into exile for publishing stories that the powerful don't want to hear, people being killed. Journalists have been killed in the last 4 years simply for stating unpopular positions, for making unpalatable information available. The night is coming, and we need to get ready for it. Okay. So, serious business. You must be ready to step up, and you must be ready to step up now. Okay? We must grow as an organization. We must grow as an organization. We must accept the commitment to go out there and to speak and to preach and to organize and to analyze. We must do those things. Okay? We must study. I'm very, very gratified at the interest that many of you have shown in theory and in collective study, because there really is no future if there's no analysis of what is going on. We must understand in order to transform. And we must transform. Transform ourselves as individuals, as an organization, and transform our society. So that's the charge that I have to give all of you who are here today, and those who you go back to tell stories to. We've already expressed our gratitude, our solidarity with the representatives of the international movement who are here with us today. And I reaffirm that gratitude and solidarity. But the point I want to make about it now is that this is a resource for all of you. It will be difficult in the time we have left to explain the wealth of institutional experience that our comrades who have come here from outside bring to this struggle. Many of their countries have gone through what we are facing now. They've gone through much worse. Much, much worse than we've seen in terms of the capacity of imperialism to repress resistance and the strategies needed to get around that capacity and move forward, no matter how difficult things are. There's so much that we can learn from their movements. So much. And therefore the work of Justice, Comrade Justice, and the unit that we'll build around him that allows us to tap into their experience, to tap into their networks, is going to be critical for any future we have. Okay? So once again, I'd like to thank the team from outside of Ghana for coming when we called. Hopefully you've been able to have some interactions. I know there hasn't been much time. Everybody's been stuck in some meeting or the other. But hopefully on the margins, you can begin to engage in the time we have left and learn some lessons, share some lessons as well. Then I would like again to say thank you to the members of the Raymond Osei Brigade, our comrades, not here as delegates, but who have done the work that has made it possible for us all to come here, done the work that has made it possible for us to stay here and deliberate. Food, accommodation, transportation, medical support, and so all of that. I'd appreciate it if we could give them all a round of applause. Is Jerry Tete in the room? Okay, so I would like Comrade Jerry to convey to the members of the brigade our deep gratitude for their service. And the assurance that we will call upon them again. They will not be called Raymond Osei next time, but there's a brigade that keeps us running, and we salute them. Okay. I would also like to thank the workers of the hotel who, as workers, have provided us with support. As is often the case in meetings of this sort, we have been disruptive. Meal times have gone haywire. We've caused noise. We've had people making unreasonable requests for this, that, and the other. They've tolerated it. They've worked with us. And they've even been enthusiastic about what is happening here. And so, again, I would like Comrade Jerry to convey to the workers of, so I keep calling this place Windy Bay. What's the right name again? It is Windy Bay. Windy Bay Lodge Hotel are enjoying gratitude for their support in this activity. We still have some work to do, not for the plenary. There's a central committee meeting that we have to have. The music has started, so it doesn't look like tonight to be possible. I don't know what the departure schedules are for tomorrow. In any case, we have the PAT meeting. So we might have to find time to schedule a Central Committee meeting. Congress has given the Central Committee a long list of tasks that we need to structure and begin work on. But we'll communicate that a recommendation to the Central Committee later tonight. With that, comrades, it is my deep honor and with a sense of hopefully collective pride that I declare the first Congress of the Socialist Movement of Ghana concluded. Thank you all very much.
Comrades, arise.
And a couple of announcements.
Okay, so at this juncture, we'll request all comrades to go down to the space where the band is, where there will be a short mystical and a formal hoisting of the SMG flag.